name is Jim Hendricks. I studied civil engineering starting in 1964 as a Rhett. And then after 2 years in the Army, I came back to Clemson and got a master's degree in water resources engineering. Clemson has always been a part of me. My father graduated in 1937. From the time I could remember, we would come here to get ice cream. When I was a senior in high school, I had a choice. The Vietnam War was beginning to ramp up, and I knew I wanted to go into engineering. In that context, we had 4 years to finish, and then you were subject to the draft, and ended up here at Clemson. One of the things that happened in Vietnam, I think, was I really learned how to be independent. I can remember one day I was sitting before a major, and he looked at me, and I gave him my tale of woe, all the excuses I could think of because things weren't going well. And he looked at me, and he said, "Lieutenant, go do something." And so I took that to heart. And I'll be honest with you, that's been part of my life ever since. That is, if there's an issue, a problem, go after it. Time I spent here, the education that I got opened up doors and allowed me to embrace opportunities that I would never have dreamed of because of just the ethic that I had picked up and learned as I had gone through, starting at Clemson. You can get through some tough times, and that's what they were preparing me for, those tough professors. And they prepared me to take advantage of those things that came my way and those things that I was able to dream and grasp. I got back from Vietnam on the 4th of July in 1970, and I had a job in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'd been home about a day. My mother said, "Before you go, you need to read this letter from this professor." And there was a gentleman named Dr. Ben Dysert, and he said, "Before you go back to work, why don't you come up here and visit me? You might like our program." So I did. He started talking about starting up the environmental program here at Clemson, and the program was wonderful. It was a mixture of things I loved, which are hydrology and river basin planning, but the environmental movement was just beginning. I got to Duke Energy by coming back to graduate school, and Duke Power at that time was building Oconee Nuclear Station. I had the opportunity to help write the second environmental report ever written for a nuclear station in the United States. We didn't have a whole lot of data, but we took the data and we put it together. And then later in my career, one of the pinnacle points was being able to take 50,000 acres around Jocassee and move that into conservation, where the state of South Carolina owns a part of it, the state of North Carolina owns a part of it, and the Forest Service owns a part of it. And this took from working in the early 80s into the late 90s, and we were able to put something together that'll stand for the ages. I would say to young engineers, get your foot in the door. Always be true to yourself. You can make wonderful changes inside the corporation you're working with or the agency you're working with. You can help make change in a positive way.